What's going on out there? I'm your host, Talking Face, and this could be news brought to you by Royal Family Studios. Like always, I'm going to try to keep this video under 10 minutes, so please try to bear with me, people. The lockdown is still going on in America for this Chinese flu. And the people in the mainstream media and politicians repeatedly say that we need to listen to and take heed to the word of the experts. But the funny thing is, the experts and the mainstream media aren't paying attention to their own rules. I mean, we've seen people like the mayor of Chicago go get a haircut when she says that everyone should stay in the house. The same thing from Chris Cuomo, who actually had the coronavirus and went out for a light jog. But that's not even the biggest hypocrite. The biggest hypocrite is Neil Ferguson. Neil Ferguson, if you don't know, is the man who came up with the model that said 2.2 million Americans will die from this disease if we don't lock down. He's also the same one who said that mad cow disease was pretty much going to destroy Europe, so they end up slaughtering all the cows. Also, he said that the HIV pandemic would destroy the world, even though the best way to protect yourself from that is having safe sex away from the posterior and not to share dirty needles. But I want to stay on subject. Neil Ferguson abandoned his own lockdown rules and contracted COVID-19 because of the simple fact he needed to sleep with his mistress, 38 years old, who was married with 2 kids. So everybody got it now in that whole circle. Guess who was surprised? Her husband. Neil Ferguson decided to quit his job, and for good reason. But the American people are becoming more and more frustrated with this whole lockdown because they're noticing these laws are draconian and senseless. You have the people of Michigan protesting the courthouse armed, but also respectful because on the way into the courthouse, they did a temperature check. The news won't say anything about that, but that's not their job to report the news. In the great state of Texas, a beauty salon owner named Shelley had this crazy idea that she knew what was best for her and her employees and her family, because she had this thought like, man, I need to feed my kids. And she was arrested for opening her shop a week before the lockdown in Texas was letting up. And Judge Clay Jenkins felt that that was the worst thing possible she could do. She was going against the law, and he is the law. He felt that she was being selfish, and the only thing that she had to do was apologize for being a good mother. And she refused, ending up in jail for 7 days, maybe even more since she didn't apologize. At the same time, they're releasing rapists because of the coronavirus. But she had this to say, which is probably number 7 on America's greatest speeches about being a free American.
Judge, I would like to say that I have much respect for this court and laws, and that I've never been in this position before, and it's not some place that I want to be. But I have to disagree with you, sir, when you say that I'm selfish, because feeding my kids is not selfish. I have hairstylists that are going hungry because they'd rather feed their kids. So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I am not going to shut the salon.
I like it. She understands what it means to be an American. Because we fight against senseless laws that can invoke tyranny as Americans. It's called the Second Amendment, people. The Constitution was written for a reason. And apparently, the Texas Supreme Court and Governor Abbott feel the same way, because they overruled Judge Clay Jenkins' decision, and she should be free momentarily. But it's sad that it has to get to this point. To the point where judges say that I want an apology from you, and that's the only way you're free. Or the mayors and governors saying we're locking down everything, except for Planned Parenthood centers, because, they need that. That's important, and Walmart. But the American people know when laws are on the books that just aren't right. Cite reasons that the Jim Crow laws were taken off the book. It doesn't make sense. And we fight against senseless laws. And I'm glad that the American people are paying attention to what's really going on. But we're going to stay in Texas. Because in Ector County, the sheriffs rolled up on a restaurant because they had customers. And it looked like they was doing a drug raid.
Shirt with the shirt, keep your hands up. Where is it? You with the hat, green shirt, pick your hands up, I can't see them. Media guy, get back! Media guy in a white shirt, get back!
That's crazy they have their guns drawn like that. Like these people were just getting something to eat and drink. Y'all have to pay attention to what's going on. Fight against any type of oppression. It is wrong for us to have to listen to these politicians. They're not even giving us any answers. We need to know, when can we get back to work? We need to know the mortality rate for this. We need to know what is the plan to get America back on its feet. Because it was only in February where we had the greatest economy in the history of the world. The news media don't want to blame China, and they're the ones who released this on the world. All I'm saying is, do your research, be vigilant, and remember, as an American citizen, you have the right to be free. But tell me what you think about this. Do you think that we should just stay on lockdown until they find a vaccine, even though it might take like 5 years? Or do you think, man, let's just get back to work, because we already know for a fact that people are going to die, but there's no reason to sink the whole country or to have our kids go through an extreme debt deficit. I'm your host, Talking Face. If you like what I'm talking about, you like the video, share and subscribe, and tell your friends about us. Peace.